Okay, hello. Here we are starting at links. It looks like there's two sections in links. It's two over here. So, links are found in nearly all web pages. Links allow users to click their way from page to page. So, we all know links to different websites, different pages, different documents, all kinds of things. HTML links are called hyperlinks. You can click on this link and jump to a different document or different page and so forth. When you move the mouse over a link, the mouse arrow will turn into a little hand. We will show you by this. See? It's a hand. Hand. Okay. So a link does not have to be text. It can be an image or any other HTML element. Hyperlinks are defined with the HTML bracket a close bracket tag. So this looks like this. Here's an example. So here is, so we have the A, the href equals, and then we have the website that our link is going to go to. And then here's what it says, visit our HTML tutorial. Then we have our closing A, and then the paragraph. So you see it over here, see how it changes this. And there it is. So it's actually working. So that's how that works. So I could even change this to something else. So let's change this to, let's change it to my gallery. Okay. And then we'll change this. And then we'll hit run. There it is. I miss going to my gallery. Okay, anyway, so that works. So now we've done that. So let's get out of here, go back to here. Okay, so the href attribute specifies the destination address. So here's what they had. The link text is the visible part, which was the words that are telling you what it is. Clicking on the link text will send you to the specified address. And then it says, without a / at the end of subfolder addresses, you might generate 2 requests to the server. Many servers will automatically add a / to the end of the address and then create a new request. So it's talking about this right here at the end. So local links. The example above used an absolute URL, so it's taking you completely to a different website. A local link, which is you're staying on the same site specified within the relative URL. So that would be more like if you wanted somebody to go to just a different page on your site, but you're still staying in your site. Try it yourself. So we're still on their site. So this is telling us this link here is sending us to a page on this website. This link here is also sending us to a website on the World Wide Web. So this is sending you to a different page, like a different site. This is you're staying within your actual site. So if we go to here, we're still on the same site that we're on. It's just taking you to a different site. So if we just go run so we can get back to this. Now this is taking us to a completely different website. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. HTML links, the target attribute. The target attribute specifies where to open the link document. The target attribute can have I'm just adding words that aren't there. It can have one of the following values: blank, which opens the link document in a new window or tab. Self opens the link document in the same window tab as it was clicked. This is default. Parent opens the link document in the parent frame. Top opens the link document in the full body of the window. Frame name opens the link document in a named frame. This example will open the link document in a new browser window tab. All right, so let's check this out. So the target attribute, let me see, that's the title there because it says H2, so it's the title, we know that. So here it is, it's sending us to this new, and it says target blank, and then has this. So we visit our website and it says, if you set the target attribute to blank, the link will open in a new browser window or tab. Let's try it out. And did. So see how we are here and it took us to a new window or a new tab in what we're in. So that's what, if you wanted to do that, you have to say blank. Okay. Here. So this one, target top, click here. So locked in a frame, click here. It just takes us to the same thing, but taking to the top. So notice it took us completely out of what we were in and took us to, so if we get out of, so now we're no longer on. So if I would hit back, now we're back to here. So it just completely overrided this and took us to here. So now we're at the top of the website. So that's what that one does. Okay, we've done 1, 2. Okay. It is common to use images as links. Try it yourself. So you have this smiley face here that is our little, so we have our smiley GIF and it is sending us to this here. So if we click on this and it says we have added border 0 to prevent IE9 and earlier from displaying a border around the image. So they don't want a border, so they have to say 0. So then here you go. Now we're back to that school or to that page. Okay. All right. So it says border 0 is added. So we just read that. So from displaying, so it's just going to stop it from from putting a border around the image when the image is a link. Buttons as a link. You see this all the time with, right, even here you go, try it yourself. These are button links. To use the HTML button as a link, you have to add some JavaScript code. JavaScript allows you to specify what happens at certain events, such as a click of the button. So let's see here. So we have this button. Click the button to go to a default page, and it shows you over here. So these are our words. Then it says on click, which means when you click it, it's going to take you to this specific place. And this is the name of the button. You can say anything you want in this. You can say click here. And if we do that, it just changes the name and takes us to here. Link titles. The title attribute specifies extra information about an element. The information is most often shown as a tooltip, I almost said tulip, tooltip text when the mouse moves over the element. Try it yourself. Okay, so as we see, here's our title. The title attribute specifies extra information about an element. The information is most often shown as a tooltip text when the mouse moves over the element. That's our words here. So here's where it's going to. So title, visit our HTML, and it just goes there. I really want to say tulip. Okay, external paths. External paths can be referenced with a full URL or with a path relative to the current web page. This example uses a full URL to link to a web page. Try it yourself. So we have external paths. This example uses a full URL to link to a web page. So here's our full website. So we go here and it just goes here. And okay, we do this one. This example links to a page located in the same folder as the current page. So this one is located in the HTML folder on the current website. This is located in the same folder as the current page. And this, you can read more about file paths in the chapter HTML file paths. So notice they're all a little different, but it's just telling it where to, like, where you have things saved. Okay. So chapter summary is use the A element to define a link, use the href attribute to define the link address, use the target attribute to define where to open the linked document, use the image element to use an image as a link. Do that. So link colors. Okay. HTML link colors. By default, a link will appear like this in all browsers. An unvisited link is underlined in blue. Okay, so I was right. I was like, wait a minute, we didn't learn that yet. A visited link is underlined in purple. An active link is underlined in red, and we've all seen this. So you can change the default colors by using CSS. So this is just so a person knows they've been there. This is actually quite helpful because when I've searched for certain websites and I've gone on them and then it's a different day and I want to go back to that particular one, but I do a random search again. Usually the places you've already been to will be purple. So you know, ooh, that's the one I was on. That's the one I want. So those are very helpful. So okay, let's try it ourselves. So we have here a link is green, visited it turns pink, hover red, active yellow. So we see it's been visited because it's pink, but if I hover over it, it turns red. When it's active, you saw when I clicked on it for a brief second that it turned yellow. Watch, look really quick. There. Wait, I wonder if I can hold on to it, if it'll stay. There, it's yellow. So that's what that shows. So and it says text decoration none, background color is transparent. So, and it says that for all of them except for when we go to the red, you see now it's underlined, but here it says none. So and then yellow is underlined as well. You see that it's underlined. I recommend staying away from yellow. It's really hard to see. Anyway, so it goes to there. Okay. So that's how that runs. And we can change these. We can say, maybe I want it to be, since we're not going to see that. Maybe I want this to be blue, and I want this to be violet, and then this is so hard to read. Maybe I want this to be red. Okay, so we can go run. So now it's blue because it's been visited, so it's blue. And then if I go over it, now it's violet. And then if I click, now it's red. So anyway, there you go. Okay. Okay. All right, so there's that. Link buttons. A link can also be styled as a button by using CSS. This is a link. Example. And see how it's not going anywhere because it's just showing you it's a link, but it doesn't actually take you to any place. It's just trying to show you that it changes to a hand. So visited. So here we go again. So now we're seeing the different colors, or the different codes that we have for red. This particular one is F44336. Color white, meaning the type, the font is white. The background color is this type of red. Padding, this is the size. It's centered. Text decoration, none. And we can change it if we want and say underline. No, it's underlined. Hover, active. Okay, so red. So then let's see what it does. Boom, takes us to there again. All right. To learn more about CSS, okay, we haven't done. All right, so the HTML link tags defines a hyperlink. For a complete list of all the available HTML tags, visit our HTML tag reference. So this is, we've looked at this before, but if you need to, if you forgot and didn't have this immediately memorized and etched into your brain for the rest of your lives, then you can go here, because there's a lot. And yeah, so anyway. Okay. All right, so let's go next. Okay, HTML links create a bookmark. So bookmarks are used to allow readers to jump to specific parts of a web page. Bookmarks can be useful if a web page is very long. To create, so this is actually great for those who have taken my web design class, and even those who haven't. Either way, you've seen like the style now is for websites to be one long page, and so that's what this bookmark does. So it takes you to the maybe the about information, and then the contact information, and the schedule information, and whatever, because it's really just one long page. So that's what this is useful for. To create a bookmark, first create the bookmark, then add a link to it. When the link is clicked, the page will scroll down or up to the location with the bookmark. First, create a bookmark with the ID attribute. So, for instance, here, chapter 4. So this is like if it's a book document or whatnot. Then add a link to the bookmark. Jump to chapter 4 from within the same page. So we see here. Here we go again with this stupid thing. And I've tried completely closing out of my email, and it still does that to me. It drives me crazy. I have to go into settings, I guess. Okay, sorry about that. So you see here, this is like explaining all of this. So it's like chapter 8. This chapter explains blah, blah, blah. I love this. Blah, blah, blah. Instead of blah, 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 it's blah, 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 blah. So this is what all of this, these are extremely important chapters. I expect you guys to all get all of this information down, study this, and there's going to be a test on blah, blah, blah. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so for instance, here's our chapter 4 down here. And I know if this was a real something, it would be quite a bit down. So if I say jump to chapter 4, now I'm at chapter 4. But then I can just go right back up. Jump to chapter 10. Now chapter 10 is at top. So it's just putting different ones up top. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so okay, so that one was a link to the bookmark. Okay. Oh, no, they're all the same. Sorry. I was seeing more green than I should have. Okay, so chapter summary. In this, we use the ID attribute equals value to define bookmarks in a page. href attribute, the number value to the link to the bookmark. So A defines a hyperlink. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to this. And now let's go to this test. Okay. I know it was A. href equals quotes default. I already forgot what it was. Oh, sorry. .html. If I just read. A closing. Okay. Yay. All right. So now this makes more sense. So we don't want it to be underlined. So we're going to say, I forget the first part though. Text style, text something, text decoration. I knew it was. Okay. Text decoration none. Okay. Oops. Okay. So text decoration none. Okay, then use the correct HTML attribute to make the link open in a new window. Target equals blank, right? Okay. Target equals, and they had a space for some reason, blank. Nope. Oh, that's not an equal sign. Oops. Oh, they had it blank. Target equals blank. I'm failing to see the difference. Huh. Okay. Oh, see, I couldn't see that. Okay. Uh-huh. I was like, what is wrong? Why can't I find it? Okay, so use the correct HTML to make the image become a link to default HTML. Okay, so I know I forgot the quote. I'm still missing something. Let's see what I'm missing. Oh. But was I correct with the A and the everything else? Okay. I really want that to be tulip. Add a tulip to the link. The tulip should say home. Okay, so ahref default HTML back to home. Well, I know home is going to be in it, but I don't know anything else, to be honest with you. Just title home. Okay, that makes me feel very silly. Title. Okay, so use the HTML image attributes to set the size of the image to 250 pixels wide and 400 pixels tall. Oh, that's it. Width and height. If I just, okay. I feel like it's going to be like trickier than this. Okay. We're past it. That's why. Okay, so correct. No, I don't want next exercise. All right, good. So we did links. Okay, sorry about that. That's why it was like, I don't remember these answers either. All right, so images can prove the design and the appearance of a web page. So we've got all these nice pictures. All right, so now we're going to get back into the other. That's why I didn't recognize it. So try it yourself. So we have this image. So it's just showing you, this is the image. It's telling you, so in a folder on your computer that you're creating your site on, you would have all the images that you're using. And so then when you're going to link a specific thing and you want the image to come in, you will have to say image source and then whatever the title of that image is. And then you're going to tell it what it is. So like this is the height and this is the width and this is the height. This way too, because if you don't tell it what it is, it'll change, and it could, depending on who's opening it in what browser, it's going to be different every time, and it could even end up floating around, which is always fun. So that's why you have to tell it this, so it kind of stays put and does what it's supposed to do. So for instance, if I change this to 600, and then we'll go I don't know, 444, and then we hit run. There, now it's bigger. So, and here's the girl. And so girl in a jacket. So same thing, you've got 500, 600. It's telling you the size. Here's the title of it, and just the alternate title. And then here's the actual name of the file. And then here's the last picture of the little walkway. So flowers, and then here's our size. HTML images syntax. So in HTML, images are defined with the image tag. The image tag is empty. It contains attributes only and does not have a closing tag. So notice there's no one with a slash, so the source attribute specifies the URL web addresses of the image. So you see here, source, this is telling it where to find this image. So it would be like we saw earlier, the image is called this, and it's in this particular folder. So the alt attribute provides an alternative text for an image if the user for some reason cannot review it because of slow connection, an error in the source attribute, or if the user uses a screen reader. So the value of the alt attribute should describe the image. Example, image source, and then here's the actual name of the file, and the alt is telling us what it is. So it's just our description. So as we saw with this one, this is the actual name of the file, but this is the actual title of it's just describing what it is. So maybe one person named the files, but somebody else is going to be doing different things with it, and they're not going to know what this means. So then the other person can say, oh, it's flowers, and however you say that, Chania, and then they'll go, oh, that's what it is. Okay. Okay, so here is, if a browser cannot find an image, it will display the value of the alt so the title, so the alt attributes. So if for some reason, let's say the file was accidentally moved from the folder and now it can't find it and doesn't know where to see it, then I've seen this millions of times, I'm sure you have too, where you go to click on something and there's just a question mark there and you're like, okay, that's great. And this is what will happen. So if the browser cannot find the image, it will display the alternative text, but it's actually displaying a question mark. So but anyway, and look what it says here, wrong name GIF. So that's, so it's telling you this is what should be here, but it can't find it. Sorry. Okay, so the alt attribute is required. A web page will not validate correctly without it. Image size, width, and height. Okay, so here we go with what I didn't know what to do before. You can use the style attribute to specify the width and height of an image. Alternatively, you can use the width and height attribute. So let's check the first one. So we already saw this. So this is telling us that the width is 500 and the height is 600. We can change that to let's go 100 by 200. Teeny and squished. So or this, in this example, we specify the width and height of an image with the width and height attributes. So let's take a look at the two different. So here, image source, alt, style. Here, notice there's no style. It just says everything else without the style. The width and height attribute always defines the width and height of the image in pixels. Always specify the width and height of an image. If width and height are not specified, the page might flicker while the image loads. Okay, so width and height or style. The width, height, and style attributes are valid in HTML. However, we suggest using the style attribute. It prevents style sheets from changing the size of the images. Oh, okay. So that's if you, let's say, had a style sheet applied to the page, and it was already set to say these, images should be this size and so forth, but you wanted that particular image to be a certain size. So if you don't put the width and height in there, it'll default to the, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm yawning silly. It'll default to the style sheet. So if you don't want it to do that and you want it to stay a specific size, then you must put in the width and the height. That way it'll stay there instead of going to what the style is. So, okay, so as you see, this is why this can cause issues. So the image below has a width attribute set to 128 pixels, but the style sheet overrides it and sets the width to 100%. So you see here, it overrides it because of the style sheet. The image below uses the style attribute where the width is set to 128 pixels, which overrides the style sheet. So here, and it's set to here. So because that's what, if you look up here, image width, this style sheet sets the width of all images to 100%. But we don't want it to be that. We want it to be at the 128. So that's why it's important to make sure you have that there, or else it'll override it and stretch it and make it look really weird. Okay, images in another folder. If not specified, the browser expects to find the images in the same folder as the web page. However, it is common to store images in a subfolder. You must then include the folder name in the source attribute so it knows where to get this from, or else it's gonna not know anything. So you're just giving it directions, so to speak. So this is found, and you see source images HTML GIF. So it's telling you you've picked a source of where it's going to get all of the images. If it doesn't know where to get it, then it's not going to be there. All right, images on another server. Some websites store their images on image servers. Actually, you can access images from any web address in the world. Try it yourself. So, for instance, this image here here's where it's coming from. It's coming from the actual site. And so, as long as you have some place for it to find whatever the image is, then it's fine. But if it has no information and has no idea where to find it, it's not going to be there. Animated images. Okay. HTML allows animated GIFs. Try it yourself. Let's see. Here's this guy tapping his foot and banging on a computer. So same thing, here's in the same thing, source, telling you this is where it's getting it from. This is telling us what it is. It's a computer man, and this is, of course, the style, the width, the height. And it's tiny, so let's see if we can make this bigger, and they're the same number. So let's see, 100 and 100. Oh, so it's obviously a very tiny, oh, whoops. I didn't realize I did that. Sorry. Oh, that's a little better. Either way, it's still a very tiny GIF, so it's very pixelated, but that was kind of funny looking. So you can see that guy a little better tapping his foot. Okay, so image as a link. To use image as a link, put the image tag inside the A. So remember, the A is what's giving us, is what's the link symbol. So that's when we saw this already. We saw that this, and it goes to there. Okay, and image is floating. Use the CSS float property to let the image float to the right or to the left of a text. Oh yeah, really quick, remember this one? It said border 0 is added to prevent IE9 and earlier from displaying a border around the image. So obviously this is some older programming or whatever versions that would automatically put a border. So this stops it. Kind of like overriding the CSS. All right, so we're going to float. I thought it'd be moving. Kind of disappointed. Okay, anyway, so a paragraph with a floating image, a paragraph, so, it just says a paragraph with a floating image, a paragraph with a floating image, a paragraph with a floating image. So float the image to the left, float it to the right. So if we see here, float, right, width, and then you still have your width and your height. Let's just, for fun, write center and see what it does. Huh, just puts it over there. Interesting. All right. I don't know why you'd want that, but okay. We'll learn more about floating when we get to our CSS. Okay, HTML screen readers. A screen reader is a software program that reads the HTML code, converts the text, and allows the users to listen to the content. Screen readers are useful for people who are visually impaired or learning disabled. Chapter summary. Use the HTML image element to define an image. Use the HTML source attribute to define the URL of the image. Use the HTML alt attribute to define an alternative text for an image if it cannot be displayed. Use the HTML width and height attributes to define the size of the image. Use the CSS width and height properties to define the size of the image. Alternatively, use the CSS float property to let the image float. Loading images takes time. Large images can slow down your page. Use images carefully. Yes, I'm sure you've all been on sites where it just seems like it takes forever, like, or the image will load halfway and just seems like it just stops, and then finally eventually it might come on. This is because the file is too large. Most anything on the internet is at 72 DPI. I do a lot of my, like all my art stuff, I do it at 125, which is fine. You don't want to go over 150. You can, of course. It just will take forever to download. And to just load. And everybody's computers are different. Some people will not see any difference because they have a really super fast computer. People who have slower computers, it's going to take longer. The problem is when it takes too long and it's loading slow, people are going to lose patience and go, I don't care anymore, and they're going to leave. And then you've lost that person. So that's why you want to make sure all your images look nice and load properly. At the same time, you don't want it to be a terrible looking picture that's like super pixelated and just looks like a blurred mess. Same thing. It's going to make you look really unprofessional and like you don't know what you're doing. So that's also very important. Okay, so we don't want to do the exercise yet because we want to go to image map. All right. With image maps, you can add a clickable areas on an image. Image maps. The map tag defines an image. An image map is an image with clickable areas. Click on the computer, the phone, or the cup of the coffee in the image below, which reminds me, I really would like to get up and get a coffee. So notice, if I'm over here on this wood part, nothing's happening. But as soon as I hit the computer, it changes. Same thing. Oh, the phone and the coffee. I want the coffee. And then, takes you to coffee. Coffee is a brewed drink prepared from roasted coffee beans, which are the seeds of berries from the coffee plant. Read more about coffee. And then, a telephone or phone is a telecommunications device that permits two or more users to conduct a conversation when they are too far apart to be heard directly. Instead of screaming, you can just call them on the phone. This is kind of funny. A computer is a device that can be instructed to carry out arbitrary sequences of arithmetic or logical operations automatically. I look at how it's like this rainbow. Oh, it's a magic computer. Okay. Examples. Oh yes, and so here we go. So now it's just showing you what it's all doing. So Okay, so they were specifying the shape of it. Notice here, so rectangle, rectangle, and then the coffee is circle, because it's a circle. So it's telling you, and if you follow the border, it does rectangle, rectangle. And this is two rectangles, but still a rectangle. Interesting. So you have to tell it where that is, coordinates, where it's located. Then this is just telling the person, what is this? Oh yeah, it's a computer. Oh yeah, it's a phone. Oh, it's a cup of coffee. And then here's the actual links that it's sending us to when it tells us what a computer, a phone, and a coffee cup are. And then here, source. So then workplace, because this is only one picture, right? It's not three pictures. So that's the name of the workplace of the file, and that's it's in a certain folder. But then they have to work map, so they're showing it what area this is, what shape it is, where it's at on the actual image. Interesting. Okay, kind of fun. How does it work? It's magic. Everybody knows that. Okay, an image behind the image is that you should, an image. God, the idea behind an image map is that you should be able to perform different actions depending on where in the image you click. To create an image map, you need an image and a map containing some rules that describe the clickable areas. The image is inserted using the image tag. The only difference from other images is that you must add a useMap attribute. And see here, so it said useMap. The useMap value starts with a hashtag followed by the name of the image map and is used to create a relationship between the image and the image map. You can use any image as an image map. Then add a map element. The map element is used to create an image map and is linked to the image by using the name attribute. So it's whatever it is, so work map or whatever you want to call this. The name attribute must have the same value as the use map attribute. So the name and the use map must have the same value. You may insert the map element anywhere you like. It does not have to be inserted right after the image. To me, though, it would make more sense because then you don't have to search for it if you need to change anything later. The areas. Then add the clickable areas. The clickable area is defined using an area element. So you must define the shape of that area. You can choose one of these values. So they only have 4 choices, either a rectangle, circle, a polygon, or default, which defines the whole region. So coordinates. You must define some coordinates to be able to place the clickable area onto the image. The coordinates come in pairs, one from the x-axis and one from the y-axis. The coordinates 34 and 44 is located 34 pixels from the left margin and 44 pixels from the top. So that's right here. 273.50 is 270 pixels from the left margin, so over here, and then 350 from the top. So we have it there. So that's defining where our rectangle is. So from this corner to this corner. So that's where they got that from. So, and we know we click here to here because it says 3444, which is this corner, and the 273.50, which is this corner. This is the area that becomes clickable, which is here, and we just saw. It's the same thing with our circle. We have to say where it's going. To add a circle area, first locate the coordinates of the center of the circle. Then specify the radius of the circle. So the center is right here, and then we need to know the outside radius, which is. So we have This particular center is 337 over and 300 down. And then the radius is 44 pixels. So it's telling you, because it's a circle, how large that circle is. Okay. So if we try to ourselves, we can change this and say, what if we say that the radius is bigger? So let's say it's, or we'll say smaller. So we'll go, no, let's go bigger. So let's go 70 and then run. And then it should come out a bit. See, now it goes all the way to here because I said it was 70. Okay, this is kind of cool. This is the area that becomes clickable and will send the user to the page coffee. Yeah, so see, because that's how big it was. A clickable area does not have to be a link to another page. It can also trigger a JavaScript function. Add a click event on the area element to execute a JavaScript function. You can use the onClick attribute. Okay, so wait, let's try it ourselves. Sorry. Okay, so my function is our one click my function. You clicked the coffee cup. Alert. Okay, is that going to say that to me? Ah, that's cool. You clicked the coffee cup. I did click the coffee cup. Oh, that's so exciting to me. Okay. All right. Yes, I've been quarantined in my house for too long. This is like very exciting. You clicked the coffee cup. Congratulations. All right. Okay. Chapter summary. Use the HTML map element to define an image map. Use the HTML area element to define the clickable areas in the image map. Use the HTML images element use map attribute to point to an image map. Okay, so now let's do background images. Background images. All right, a background image can be specified on almost any HTML element. Sorry, okay. To add a background image in HTML, use the CSS property background image. Sorry, but I'm walking to get coffee. Background image on an HTML element. So to add a background image on an HTML element, you can use the style attribute. Example, add a background image. Okay, so background image of girl. So is it going to be the same girl in the jacket, I'm guessing? Why would you want that? So we see the top of someone's head, and apparently that's supposed to be great. So if this was an actual website and someone did this, I would myself decide this is clearly a mistake, because why would we want to see the top of, and you don't even know what that is. It might be someone's head, it might be something else. That seems really silly to me. Oh, I got my coffee. Okay, I feel better. Okay, so it says you can specify background images. Remember, the BR is to make it so it doesn't go across the whole thing. It's a break. For any visible HTML element in this example, the background image is specified. For a div element, by default, the background image will repeat itself in the direction where it is smaller than the element where it is specified. And then now we can't see this really well over here. Try resizing the browser window to see how the background image behaves. Okay. Aha, see? So it's just going to repeat itself. Oh. Look at that. Interesting. Whoa. Okay then. So you want to make sure you have an image that will work well that way. You can also, okay, oh yeah, you can also specify the background image in the style element. So here, in this example, the background image is specified for a div element. So we see background image, we have the same thing, style, though it is in a div element. We did a little bit of the div stuff in the Dreamweaver. Okay, so it's still gonna repeat itself. And we can try this again. And yep, we see same thing, and then it'll grow there. Okay. All right, background image on a page. If you want the entire page to have a background image, then you must specify the background image on the body element. So here, background image, but it's in the body. So let's really quick. So let's look. So it just says title, okay, background image. Then it says div style background image. Whereas this one is in the body, not a div. And now we can actually see the entire image. And same thing, if we do this, we'll see that. And then it'll still, oh, now the image doesn't change, just the words change. Interesting. Whoa. She just goes on forever and ever. Background repeat. If the background image is smaller than the element, the image will repeat itself horizontally and vertically until it has reached the end of the element. To explain, see what happens when we use a small image as a background image inside a large div element. The background image property will try to fill the div element with images until it has reached the end. So that just means this entire element is this large, and so it wants to fill the whole thing because the image itself is too small. So that's why it's repeating itself. So we have lots of, just seriously, tons of this girl. Because we have the whole thing, like the div is just too large. So she'll just keep going and going and going because it's a default. So you would have to then specify the size so it won't continue to do that. To avoid the background image from repeating itself, use the background repeat property. So background repeat, well, it's telling it to repeat. And then if you don't want it to repeat, you simply say no repeat up here. And now it's just this size. All right. If you want the background image to cover the entire element, you can set the background size property to cover. Also, to make sure the entire element is always covered, set the background attachment property to fixed. So it's fixed versus fluid, if you're wondering. Fluid is how it sounds when you think of water. It's fluid, it flows wherever, whereas if something's fixed, it stays put. As you can see, the image will cover the entire element with no stretching. The image will keep its original proportions. And we can't see that right here, but I'm guessing it can. There we go. So because they have it fixed, you see here, no repeat, cover. So they're telling what's the size. They want it to cover and fill the entire background. So it's not going to repeat. It's set to cover. And so that's why it's setting to cover. All right, so let's check this out. Ooh. That looks awesome, doesn't it? So if you want the background image to stretch to fit the entire image, this is the same thing as when you're setting your desktop picture on your laptop, how you can do that. You can have it repeat, you can have it set to stretch or fill the screen or actual size, or you could do different things. This is the same. the same thought here. Okay, so we don't have this very large, but you can see that's a little weird. But if I move this over, it's going to stretch it. And then same thing if I do this. She's screaming. Whoa! Anyway, so yes, I'm having too much fun with this. So, and then we have it fixed, no repeat, background size 100%, 100%. So, that's basically telling it to stretch. And you can have fun with torturing this poor girl to stretch it. Okay, so find from the examples above, you have learned that background images can be styled by using the CSS background properties, and we'll learn more about this when we get to that. So let's go to the picture element. The picture element allows us to display different pictures for different devices or screen sizes. HTML5 introduced the picture element to add more flexibility when specifying image resources. The picture element contains a number of source elements, each referring to different images to different image sources. This way, the browser can choose the image that best fits the current view and or device. So I've seen that a lot, where you'll see you look at one website on your computer versus your phone, and when you first go onto the landing page, it'll be different in regards to, it'll even have a different picture. And that's, because maybe, well, for instance here, even these pictures they're showing, this is a very wide shot. This is more vertical. This one's extremely wide, so it depends on what, if it's on a tablet, what screen it's on, the size. So, plus I think it'd be kind of cool because it can show you different elements besides just using the same image, and kind of spice it up a little bit. The picture element contains a number of source elements, each referring to different image sources. Oh, we just read this, didn't I? Anyway, yes. Okay, so, sorry. All right, so here, and it's telling you this. So picture, source, image source. So we see here, minimum width is 650. So that's telling you the smallest possible that this is going to go is 650 pixels. This one, 465. And then everything under that is this girl. So let's try making this smaller. Oh, see, now because I've gone below 650, so now it replaces it with the car. And then now it does the girl. So depending on what size, now I'm squishing the girl, and then now I have a car, and now I have this salad bar. Always specify an image element as the last child element of the picture element. The image element is used by browsers that do not support the picture element, or if none of the source tags matched. When to use the picture element? There are two main purposes. Bandwidth. If you have small screen or device, it is not necessary to load a large image file. The browser will use the first source element with matching attribute values, and ignore any of the following. Because if you have a small thing, what's not going to sit there and try to load this huge file that's going to take your whole life, and it'll never happen. So, format support. Some browsers or devices may not support all of the image formats. By using the picture element, you can add images of all formats, and the browsers will use the first format that it recognizes, and then it just ignores the rest. Example. So the picture element can be used when the image format is not supported by all devices. The device will use the first image format it supports and ignore the rest of the images. I don't know if it'll... No, it doesn't, because mine just does this. So, for instance, if mine recognized this right away, the avatar, if it didn't somehow recognize it, we would see a girl, or we would see this Beatles. I'm kind of bummed I can't see the The Beatles. I want to see the Beatles. Anyway. So that's that. Okay, and then next is, all right, so let's go back to here. Okay, use the HTML image attributes to set the sizing of the image to 250. Okay, so now I know width, height. Use CSS to set the size of the image to 250 pixels wide and 400 pixels tall. So do I need to put anything in between? Wait, where do I have my thing? Do I just go width? Is it this? 250? I don't know. Okay, I'm right. Pixels, height, and but I need the semicolon for that in the middle. Okay. Use the correct HTML to make the image become a link to default HTML. Is it the A? Yeah. See, I shouldn't have just doubt myself. I doubt myself and then I can't. Don't doubt yourself, just try. All right. And then make the image below float to the right of the paragraph. I know it's float, but what else am I supposed to say? Oh, float. Oh, to the right. Okay, stupid. Right. All right, sorry. Float. Add the correct HTML attribute to display the smiley GIF image. I think you just go smiley GIF. I'm missing something, obviously. What am I missing? Ah. Oh, source equals. Okay, right. Okay. Okay. Last one. Specify an alternative text for the image. The alternative text should say smiley. Alternate text is useful when the image cannot be displayed, like when the page is read by a screen reader. So, should I say source smiley GIF? It was alt. Smiley. Ha! See, I almost looked too, but I was like, no, just go with it. It doesn't matter if it's wrong, it's wrong. You'll just get it. Okay, perfect. So we did links and images. So I will, next we will start on tables, and we'll probably get through more of these because they don't have more than one thing. So looks like, yeah. So next we'll start on tables and we'll go for until we get tired of going. All right. Thank you for watching.